Today we are just looking at running Alpha online. It turns out there's more ways to do that than there is versions of the Bible, I think. And everybody's kind of trying to find the way that works for them best in their situation. So what we're going to do today is I'm currently running 4 Alpha Onlines myself. And I'm going to talk you through the way that I've been doing it. It's the way that I've been doing it for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and that we've been training other people to run this way as well. It might not fit your specific needs, but this is just one way of doing it, and there's lots of options for how we can do that differently. So if you feel that what we're chatting about today doesn't really fit for you specifically, just let us know, and we can really work out something that will work for you. There's lots of churches innovating and trying different things. So we're going to be looking specifically today at the Zoom platform. I'm going to chat a little bit about Church Online as well, because there's a couple of places using that. But I'm really going to focus on the Zoom stuff because that's the way that we are doing it. But feel free to push back. Now, at any point during this conversation, if anybody wants to ask a question, anything, the chat bar is there. I am sure most of us on this call now are Zoom experts, so I probably don't need to point that out for you, but just in case I do, wiggle your mouse, touch your screen, there's a chat option. You can type messages in there for everybody to read, or you can send them privately as well if you want to discuss, how bad I sound or how bad I look, or anything like that. The lovely books on Jenny Boyce's bookshelf, whatever you want to chat about, the space is there for you. There's also the option, we'll have the option later on to go into breakout rooms so that we can chat to each other and just get some prayer for one another, because with 40 people on the call, it'll be really hard to do individual prayer. So if we break out into small groups, and basically we're going to do this how we essentially do Alpha online. So yeah, we'll just chat through it, and like I say, any questions, any issues, either fire them in the chat, unmute yourself. We're all probably grown-ups here, I think, so I'm sure I can trust you to behave. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask away, let's go for that. So let me just firstly start by, I say start, I've already been speaking for like 5 minutes, so just ignore me. I've had the kids up until 20 minutes ago, and I've had a cup of coffee, so anything is liable to happen in the next wee while. So yeah, basically we've tried to hit the ground running at Alpha and really pivot what we're doing. And I have to say, in a lot of ways, Alpha lends itself really nicely to this online platform. To the way that online things are happening. The only part that's really missing is having food together. And actually, for most people who've run Alpha, we know that that's a key element. So we're always trying to work out, like, is there ways we can do that? Like, how can we do that together in different ways? So with some of the young people we've been doing, we all agreed that we were going to have cookies this week. So like we all grabbed a pack of cookies, had cookies together. Now, it did take about 20 minutes to get going by the time everybody had explained why they preferred the oatmeal raisin over the triple chocolate chunk. But it was just quite interesting that we could do that together. But we're really going to go with nuts and bolts today. Most people that are on the call haven't run Alpha online before, so we're just going to get stuck in and go through this. So there's going to be a lot of sharing my screen and that kind of thing. So if you do want to take notes, that's great. Or if you want anything or screenshots of that, just let me know and we can send you stuff. But firstly, let me show you what we've changed at the Alpha end of this process to make things a little bit easier for you. So I'm just going to share my desktop with you just now. So you need to forgive the messiness of it all. I apologize. But I'm just going to go into Google Chrome here and go to Alpha. Now I should be signed in already, but you just go to My Alpha here in the corner. And what that does is that takes you into the alphas that you've already got up and running. So this is the one that we've got up and running with our church just now. But we'll just go as though we're starting brand new, and we'll actually create an alpha just now. So let me just do this here. So we'll say that we're creating it for anyone, because isn't that what we want when everyone on our alphas? We're going to use video. And we're going to not do prisons. Let's say none of these. we're going to go English. I'm sure you guys have all done this before, but just in case you haven't, this basically is a helpful guide to taking you through where everything is online. So we're going to run the series. You can watch the trailer there. Now, I am going to just use, let's call it Alpha Scotland Alpha. There's probably 1,000 of these because we test these things quite a lot. We're going to use the film series, and we're going to start on the 1st of May. And we will go for 7 o'clock in the evening. Good Christian time there. And then you'll notice here in this bar, it says this is an online alpha. So by clicking that, it stops asking specifically for your location and actually asks what city you're in, because if you're going to advertise, it's much easier online to advertise in an area. So I'm in the mighty Kirkintilloch. So I'll just put that in there and you'll see that pops up. Anything else your guest needs to know for your alpha. So you could, for some people, they've been using various different ways of connecting in with them. The church online platforms like Church Suite, for example. So you might want to put in connecting in there to get your details. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, this is our church that we're a part of. So it's part of that church. And do you want to publish this alpha online? We'll say yes. Put in my phone number, and then we'll publish the alpha. That means that it will be put onto all our search engines, etc. So if someone's looking for an alpha in Kirkintilloch, they'll get taken to this one. And I'm just going to create this alpha just now. And then what this does is it takes you through to our standard page. Now, this gives you a rundown of what is to happen each week by week. It's even a helpful when you should have done your training, which was 2 weeks ago, and when to do the prayer weekend training. And these are each of the episodes. The weekend away, we'll talk about the weekend away because it's a little bit hard to do the weekend away in lockdown, but we've got a few ideas around that. And then from here, you can access everything else. This is just a quick cheat sheet, so it'll tell you which episode is next, where you can find the series materials. And there's also in here, sorry, I'll just close that. There's your promotional materials. Now, we've updated this with a lot of online stuff. So stay home, try Alpha online. Pause Netflix, try Alpha online, and these are all available. It's all free. You can just download it, use it on your social media channels, send it to your friends, do whatever you want. There's invitation assets, there's digital assets, there's videos in there as well, for everything like promotional wise. And this is my favorite part of the whole website. This is where all the materials are for you guys. And again, if you've run Alpha before, you might already know all this, but I'm just going to quickly go through it for those that haven't. So in here, you can find all of the episodes. This is some plan and prepare stuff. There's sample Alpha sessions. There is, let's see, Alpha transcript. So if you want to do the talks yourself, or if you just want a copy of the script so you know what the guys are saying, it's there. This Alpha team guide is really, really helpful. I actually would recommend downloading this one, the zipped file one. That'll just download there, and I'll show you why in a little bit. And then in each of the episodes, so let's say we're going to go for the first episode here, you'll see that we've got the option here to download. Now, we recommend that people do download it for just the ease of putting it online using the way that we're going to show you on Zoom. There is a couple of options of doing it slightly differently, but this way with an Ethernet cable plugged into your modem will give you a really stable, consistent Alpha experience. So this means there's just one login, people come into you and they stay there the whole time. So I would download it in 1080, but there's also the option here you'll see that says share link. So what we've done is I'm just going to copy that, and that allows me to then give you a direct link in the chat bar. So let me stop sharing this screen just now for just 1 second, and I'll show you. So in the chat, for example, I can just do this, and then this will send to you guys, or it should send it to everyone in the meeting, the link to the first episode. Now, what we're doing is we're sharing the episode on my screen, just like we were doing there before. and then asking people to watch it there. But should there be an issue, should the internet go down, or someone's internet speed isn't great, or there's some delay at my end, they can just click on that link and watch the episode themselves. But what that does is it takes them to a browser link. So it basically doesn't take them to YouTube or anything. It just uses their browser to direct that through, which means that they can stay on the Zoom call with you guys. So that's what we kind of recommend to people to do. We ask them to turn their video off, turn their audio off, and they can sit and watch it. And then we come back together. But I'll explain a little bit more about that in 1 second. I just want to share my screen with you really quickly to show you something else here. And this is a really key feature for me, and it says team. Now, in here, we have we can invite team members. So what that means is, let me invite, say, our good friend Laura Moyer. So Laura will now get an invite, inviting her to join into this team, which means that she gets access to all of that facilities. So all of the online materials, all of the discussion guides, the chat guides, everything like that. And it basically just means that your whole team can see everything. So you're not having to download things and then send them on to anyone else, because that can just get a little bit frustrating. I don't know if you've had to do that, where you're trying to transfer people things and you've got stuff in OneDrive and you've got stuff in Google Docs. It just gets a little bit confusing. So this way, it means that they can access what they want, when they want. They can watch the episodes ahead of time. And for our team, that's proved really helpful. Some people want a really tight guide. Some people want just to find their own thing. And also in the series materials, if you scroll right to the bottom, there's a weekly briefing. So that's like a 2 to 3 minute video that we just play at the start of our alpha as a team, just to kind of get an overview of that week's episode and what you're going to be talking about. So I'm just going to go to gallery view here. Now, is everybody okay with that so far? I'm in gallery view, so nodding heads works, thumbs up work. We all good? Has anybody got any questions so far? We all right? Wonderful, amazing, great. That's good. So the other part of this for us is that we're using Zoom. Now, I'm just going to do the same thing here. There's a few key features in Zoom that really allow us to make this happen. So the way that we run our evening is that we welcome people like this, and we make a point of just being over the top with our welcome. So we literally go around everyone as they're coming in. So I'm like, hey Ross, how you getting on, mate? You know, how is it today? How's Gorebridge? You doing well? You know, Daniel Ferguson, lovely to see you. Oh, have you lost more hair? You know, Ali Weir, Shetland, what's going on, big man? How is it up in the mighty north? You know, we go around and we just welcome people. And it also, that just creates the space where you have that water cooler conversation at the start, you know, where people are just shooting the breeze a little bit, just gets conversation flowing. And then we go to share screen. And then what we do is we share the video out, as I said, and we also put the link in there. The other thing that we do, you'll remember that I said to download the discussion guides. We put a link into the PDF of each week's discussion guide. So that's the little red book that people are synonymous with alpha. You know, if you've got a red book, that's all good news. But that just gives people something that they can take away, think about, they can interact with themselves. And again, you know, not everyone's going to just sit and watch the video. They might want something to read, they might want something to doodle with. So this is a really good way of just encouraging that to happen. And in that zip file I showed you, they're all broken down into weeks. So you can literally just put them in. And I am just going to share my screen with you one last time, just to show you. I say one last time, I'm probably going to do it a lot more, but I was hoping that you guys might see the glimmer of hope in my eyes. What I've got here is a file called AFS Online. So that's the Alpha Film Series Online. And what I've done is I've broken down each week and each episode with the discussion guides, so that I've got it there and I can just have it open and ready just to drag in an episode. And what I'm actually going to do is I am just going to open up an episode here. So let me open up episode 1. And then I'm just going to share this just so you guys can see what it's like. So you've got an idea of what the experience is like for people on the other end. So let me just play this here for you.
Nick, can you get a mic check?
Hi, I'm Nicky. Welcome to Alpha. Life is busy. Every day we ask so many questions. What should I wear? What's the weather going to be like? What's happening today? How am I going to fit everything in? But then there are those bigger questions.
Like, why am I here? Where am I heading? Is this it? Is there more to life?
And this is the point where I look like an idiot because I don't know where the video's gone to turn it off. So it's going to keep playing for a wee second. Give me a wee minute.
We all have different
I'll find it.
perspectives on the
Where
meaning
is it?
of life and faith. And Alpha is an opportunity to explore life's big questions.
Oh, there we go. That's good. As you can see, none of us are really professionals. We just kind of wing it and hope for the best. It's just, you know, you only get caught out every now and then. So that's what it looks like. How did that look for everybody? Like out of 10, was it 10? Was it 5? Was it 2? Like, I'll take a thumbs up as a 10. So that's good. We'll go for that. 6, yeah. To be fair, it's not going to be the sharpest, highest def image you've ever, just because of the way that it's happening. I'm uploading it into a chat group. There is the option, obviously, with the link there for you just to click on that yourself. So do you guys want to give that a try just now, just to see how that works for you? It is now moved somewhere, but basically what you can do is you can just copy and paste that and then put it into like Google or into Safari, like into the where you would type in a web address, and that should just take you straight to a link to the video. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that.
So sorry, Des, copying from where to where?
Yeah, so it's in the chat that I've just put up. Let me copy it and I'll put it again in the chat for everyone so you can see it. There you go. So you should have just got a message that came through, and it's the link player.vimeo.com.
Yeah, and where do you want it to paste it into?
Yeah, so if you copy that, you can then paste it into Google or like wherever you would type in a web address. So if you use Safari or Firefox or any search engine, basically, you know, you would type in www. whatever. If you put it in there, it will take you straight to a video link. So there's a few people messaging there. Yeah, it will be better, probably because they're using their bandwidth rather than mine, and I've got like 12 things on at the moment, which doesn't help. But whatever one works best for you, you know, or whatever option or a mix of the two. I use a mix of the two and then leave people to decide what they want to do. The reason we do it that way is some people have been using the Church Online platform. Now, I guarantee when you show a video on the Church Online platform, you get 10 out of 10. It looks super, super sharp. But that means that you're having to get people to come away from Zoom to go on to that to come back. And we've had a few instances where when we've tried that, we've lost people in that transition. As with all of us, you know, your password doesn't work, something happens, the phone rings, you know, kid comes in bleeding, whatever the situation is, you know, you need to stop, and that can be a differential. So we've just left it so that everyone stays on Zoom, and you really need to work that out for you, whatever is going to work for you best with your people. If you would like to know a little bit more about the Church Online platform, I can talk some people through that, but probably on a separate call. It just requires a little bit of thinking, and churches that are already up and running with that, it could just be an easier option for you. But for most people, running it on one constant call on Zoom makes most sense. Now, this is an upgraded Zoom package, so it costs £12 a month to be able to do that. And there's another couple of features that you need to turn on to really get the most out of it. So forgive me, I'm going to share my screen again with you. But this time I'm going to go to Zoom, the Zoom website. And it's just so I can turn on a couple of the features to let you see what we need to do. So I go into my account here and sign in. ignore all my passwords and stuff, please. And then in settings, you want to scroll down, and as you scroll down, it's in meeting. Okay, so what is it? So in meeting advanced, there's an option here, breakout room. Now you want to turn that on. It does give you the option as the host to assign participants to breakout rooms while scheduling. So when you're making the meeting, you can decide who's in which group. But if you're going to be having guests join in, if you don't really know who's coming on, that can be quite hard. So I just leave that off personally. And I also have another couple of options that I turn on. I turn on the group HD video. So that it's a higher quality, although all bandwidth is being shrunk at the moment. So it's as best as it can be. And I also have the waiting room turned on so that I can just check people in as they're coming in. So I can make sure that it's the right people that I'm expecting, and it's not just a load of random guys who are going to come in and cause chaos. Well, it might be, but they're probably my friends, so that's different, you know. So we just need to work out who the people are that we're going to be getting in. So whatever works for you. Obviously, security is a big issue. Version 5 of Zoom just came out today, which is just taking the security levels up another level, which is really good. We obviously recommend doing what we did here, make it password protected, you know, do whatever you need to do, but obviously you're all grown-ups. You need to decide what's going to work best for you, how you do that, how you execute that. And I'm actually just going to play a video for you. There's a couple of things that you need to do on the screen when you're on calls with people, like how to share the screen and also how to do breakout rooms. But I can't show you that while I'm doing it. So I've just made a little 2-minute video that I'm just going to play for you now. And that'll give me a chance to fill my coffee cup back up as well. So give me 1 second and I'll just do this for you. I'm just going to play this here. So we also need to think about sharing the video, and what we want to do is go to share screen like this, and then I've got the file already open on my screen up here, so I click on there. I also want to share computer sound, so it uses the sound from the file rather than the sound coming out of my speakers and going back into my microphone. And you also want to optimize screen for video clip, and then we just hit share. And then what will happen is that will get sent out to everyone, but we don't want to do that right now. So hey, we're on the youth call, we've got everyone here, everyone gives a wave for the second time because I didn't record it the first. And then what you want to do is you want to go to breakout rooms, and then in here you can see how many participants we've got and then how many rooms, and we will say we've got 5 rooms, so there's 3 people in each, and then I can just create the breakout rooms there, and then it automatically sets them up for everyone. We as the host get to move people around if we so desire. So like, you know, if you think Sam Donaghy is going to create some trouble in one of his rooms, you can move him into a different one. And also as the host, you can jump between. You can also manually create the rooms. So like for Alpha, we can recreate the rooms each week. And then you've also got options in here where you can set a timer. So we've got 5 minutes left of this call. So we'll put a 5-minute timer in there. And then we will just open all the rooms. There you go. And then everyone will get a wee message that pings through. And once they get it, they will start disappearing off to the rooms. Bye, guys! And as they're all doing that, we can then send a message if we want, saying, hey, thanks for helping. And that'll go out to everyone. And then we also have the option to close all the rooms at any point. I hope you also enjoyed the input my daughter made there of screaming and jumping up and down to get my attention. So that was just a wee added bonus for you all, you know, the joys of working from home, right? And that essentially in a nutshell is how we have been running Alpha online and how we're kind of recommending to people to do that. The other thing that we've been trying to work out is how to do the weekend away. So I'm coming up to, I'm week 5 this week. So the 8th of May, we're doing our weekend away or day away or morning in. We haven't quite worked out what to call it yet. And we've been trying to work out a couple of different ways of doing that. So we've been working with some of the guys in Asia Pacific, and what they've been doing is they've been doing their Alpha Day Away over a morning. So they've been kind of doing like 10 till 12 with 3 episodes, and then creating a bit of space for people just to get the option of prayer afterwards. So essentially just like the Day Away, but just much more condensed. But what they've also been doing is meeting on a Friday evening beforehand, just to have some kind of like hangout. So whether that's a Netflix party where you all watch a movie together, whether it's, you know, you just meet online and have a coffee and a bit of a chat, you do something that is with the Alpha group but not about Alpha, just to kind of build that networking point. And that's the other thing I found really helpful when I've been running Alpha. So after I've shared the video and before I put everyone out into their breakout rooms, I just say to everybody, right guys, we're just going to hit the pause button just now. This is your free time. You can go get yourself a cup of coffee, go get a cup of tea, go to the toilet, do whatever you need to do. We normally go out and clap the NHS first. So there's like a mass exodus as we all go out and clap, and then we all come back in, and then you see people footing around. And it's at that point that I set up the breakout rooms for everyone. But again, everyone's online, so you're just having a bit of a water cooler chat so people can connect in with one another, you know, like, and just have those conversations about how's things going, what's going on, how have you found this week. So we've just really been trying to create extra space to allow community to happen. But the reality is that what we've realized is that for Alpha to work online, you need to go smaller. So smaller groups, like 6 people is probably your upper limit. And Audrey's just asked, do you make sure you have a team member in each group? Yeah, we do. So we've got multiple hosts and we just put them in the group. And then basically the first week I did an auto assign. So it was just totally random. And then I moved my group leaders around. And then I took a picture with my phone, saved it. And then the following week, I just recreated the groups. The only slight issue with that was that 2 people had changed their names on their devices. And I didn't recognize it. So I was trying to work out which one was which, and I made a guess and I got it wrong. So, you know, but it's maybe worth just saying that to people, like, and to be honest, most people have some kind of connection with people, but we had some people that had just arrived out of nowhere. So we had no way of knowing who they were, or, you know, you were trying to do that thing of like, how did you find out about us? Without saying, how did you find out about us? You know, so it was quite interesting. There's also, can you pull everyone back together after going into rooms? Yeah, there's a button there that you can just close all the rooms. And what that does, it gives people 1 minute to come back. What I've done as well with my team is I've got a Facebook chat group up and running with them. And what we've been doing is, as the conversation, you know, that way in an Alpha group, you can kind of feel when the conversation's kind of naturally coming to an end. They send a message there so that I'll wait for everyone to have messaged. And then I'll send a message saying you've got 1 minute to close the groups, so that we're all kind of in the same place. It does mean if somebody's got through things really quickly that they could be sitting for a couple of minutes, but at any point they can step out of the group and come back through to the main room. So what I normally do is I stay here just in case anyone gets dropped or kicked out or anything like that, and we can feed them back in, you know. How are we getting on? Is everyone up to speed so far? Boom, winner. So has anybody got any questions I can help with, or have any thoughts? In fact, I think Brenda's on the call. Brenda, are you around?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, there she is. So Brenda, do you just want to quickly introduce yourself and just share a little bit about what happened last night?
Reduce myself? How do I reduce myself?
Introduce yourself, pal.
Oh, so, like, reduce myself? I know I've been overeating in lockdown, Tess, but it's a bit to the bone. So I'm Brenda, and I work for Alpha Scotland. I'm based in the northeast of Scotland, and I started running last week. We are doing it with 50 guests, 24 of which rarely or never go to church. We also have folks connecting in, one from South Africa, one from Norway, one from New York, and one from Brighton. So it's really been interesting just finding out how they found out about the course and hooked in. We've had an amazing first night. One thing I'd say is that the guests got really deep really quickly. There seems to be something about the protection of being behind a screen rather in person. So there was a lot of deep conversations on week one, and all the guests as well were really keen to be part of a WhatsApp group with their hosts, which is, we don't normally ask that at the beginning. So just really, really positive. All the hosts of all the groups were just on a high afterwards because they couldn't believe how well it had worked, because my first lot of hosts were all diehard alpha leaders, used to like the meal and the socializing, and were probably a bit skeptical about how it was going to work, but they smashed it. It was amazing. Anything else you want me to add?
No, I think that's brilliant, Brenda. It's just really exciting. We're hearing more and more stories of people like just, connecting in different ways, and there seems to be a hunger. The Google statistic, which I'm sure you guys know, but is for every 80,000 deaths, prayer goes up by 80% or something. So like, it basically, as people are reading these terrible news stories, that it's actually pushing people towards asking some of the bigger questions. So it's really, really interesting. Peter Fowler, big up Peter from Vineyard. I wouldn't be the Christian I am today if it wasn't for Peter Fowler, so you can blame him. But he just asked about the free Zoom package. Absolutely. So Zoom at the moment, for operating in the freeway, gives you about 40 minutes. They have been reducing that time at peak points, so it's hard to kind of gauge that. So you can do welcome everyone, play an episode of Alpha, and then say go away, take your 5-minute break, and then come back on to a call. And if you set it up as a recurring meeting, which we recommend you do, it's always got the same address and password. So as soon as everyone logs out, they can start again and essentially reset the timer. What we've found is that, so a few churches have tried to do that, and some of the guys in Asia Pacific started off doing it that way, and they were having let's say they had 100 guests at the start. The first week they were getting like 90 for the second part, and then it was going down and down as people were just watching the episode and not really connecting in with the question part. So the way that we've been recommending for people to do it is just to make it one click on and you just stay there, which does cost £12 a month. But if you offset that against how much money you would spend on food, it's actually bargain Alpha, really. But actually, I don't work for Zoom, so I'm not getting commission for them. There's thousands of ways to do this. Some people have used Google Hangout. Some people have done it using various different methods. Like one of my friends has actually set up his own social media server, and he's doing it kind of that way. He's a super tech. I am not that guy. So there are lots of ways to do it, but I'm an Occam's razor type of person. So I just try to find the simplest route and just go through it, and just stick with it until I find something better. And this is what I've found. It works continually. People stay the course with us. So we've got about 36 guests on our first Alpha, and 33 of them are pretty much still with us. Some of those guys haven't been able to connect in, and that's one of the joys of the online Alpha stuff. Like I've been able to send them the link, and then we've been able to have a chat later in the week. So everyone's still up to the same point. And there's not the, like when we first started doing Alpha, if somebody missed a week, you had to give them the precious video or DVD away with them, hope that it returned to you. That's not the case anymore. You can set it up in different ways. So we've got a paramedic on our course at the moment, and she does kind of shifts. So she misses every second week so far, but we've been able to pick that up later on. Let me have a wee look here. We've got some more questions. How have people advertised their courses? Really, really massively different ways. For us personally, we just went on social media and just went big on it. At Alpha Scotland, we've been doing that as well. Over Easter weekend, we launched the first episode of the film series online as a premiere for the first time. 26,500 people watched that across Scotland, and that was that is specifically how many people watched it in Scotland, with 5,692 watching it from start to finish. So that means that even if half of those were Christians, that means there's 3,000 people out there waiting for episode 2. So it means there's a lot of people that are hungry and looking for something. So we can really tap into that by using our connections. The truth is, though, the personal invitation is always going to be the best invite for Alpha. So people asking their friends, connecting in. We're also seeing a lot of people running smaller alphas with their family or with their neighbours, because it's much easier to do that. You know, I've had quite a few Zoom dinners with family so far. So chucking on an alpha episode might just break up that a little bit, you know, just a suggestion. And it's like any good box set, you need to see the whole thing, you know. The discussion guide material, is it recommended to give it to the participants beforehand? That is really up to yourself. As I say, we can tell you all the best practice, we can tell you what we think, but actually these are the people that you're in relationship with, so you know what they need. So when I'm working with some of the guys, I just say to them, like, here, do you want this stuff ahead of time? You know, and if people message in, we just give them what they want basically as we go along. Alan's saying, we didn't finish our alpha, we completed our day away. The issue we have is a few people are not used to going online. Yeah, I totally agree. That has been an issue. I think that issue is kind of moving away. As we've found, as with all church things, change is very difficult. But if I've learned anything over the last few weeks, is that change is not impossible. It just needs a global pandemic to kick people into gear a little bit. And what we've seen is lots and lots of people really hit the ground running and adapt. Most grandparents and things are used to connecting in with their grandkids on FaceTime or Instagram or whatever that looks like. So most people have the capacity to go online. It's just whether they do or not is an issue. The reality is we can't meet face to face at the moment, so we just have to embrace what we have. Like, I'll be totally honest, like I'm really enjoying running alpha online, but I'm an off the chart extrovert. Like, I need to be with people. I need to see the whites of their eyes when they ask those difficult questions. You know, like, it's much easier to ask a difficult question just now and then just sit back. So I can't wait to get back to being face to face with people. But I think we have to accept that this move to everyone doing stuff online is here to stay. And that might look like in the future an alpha course that happens in your church, you've got an online part to it, or someone joins you at the table with an iPad. You know, that's quite an exciting idea. Like, I quite like that idea, to be honest. I hope that answers your question there. Has anybody got any other questions they want to ask? Is there anything I've missed that we could answer for people? This actually leads me to a really, really interesting point. So normally on alpha, we would sit and wait in silence, right? That's what we've trained to do in alpha for years. We wait quietly and wait for the person to respond because they'll crack before we do. You know, that's not the reality online, because what happens is everybody thinks that the computer's frozen or that you've stuck. So you sit there like this, and then you see them like turning volume and moving microphones and stuff. So what we find is you need to be much more directive. So, you know, with a smaller group, you just need to be a little bit more. Ali Weir, do you have a question? How are you, my friend? You getting on okay? You know, Gordon Shanks, Saltcoats, what's going on down there? It must not be Muss Ice Cream. You need to actually be willing to kind of do those things and pull people into the conversation. People have obviously got the option to say, nah, I'm okay. Or they could turn their camera off or whatever. And they can also use the chat function if they would rather talk in there. Which has been really interesting to see some of the questions that people have been putting in here. Adele's just typed something, and we've also, ministry time on the day away. That's such a great question. I have no idea. Like, all I know is that the Holy Spirit does what the Holy Spirit does, and I hope that things happen. I've not actually done a day away yet on Zoom. So on the 8th of May, come back to me and I will give you an answer as to how that goes. But what we have been hearing from other places that have done it is that there's stories of people being healed. There's stories of people coming to faith in their living room, you know. And I think sometimes it's about how do we do that. So what some churches have been doing is setting up specific breakout rooms. So they'll have a breakout room with, let's say for argument's sake, Gordon Shanks and Daniel Ferguson in a breakout room together. Now that is a prayer combo that you do not want to be in the middle of, right? And then what they've been doing is keeping everybody in the chat, just having some chat, and then just assigning people essentially appointments where people can go in, and then they've got a private space to talk to those two guys and get prayer or not get prayer. It's an opt-in, opt-out kind of thing. That's one way of doing it. The other way is that you can do it in your small groups and just have everybody together. Again, you kind of need to know the people that you're with. So if the people in your small group would be up for doing that, great. If they would rather have private conversations, that's equally great. I think we just need to be having those conversations of how do you feel comfortable, what's going to work for you, and also where do you want to fit in with it? Like how do you want it to work for your group? Adele said this may not be relevant, which is never a great start to a question, but I'm hoping to try and continue my Youth Alpha on Zoom. Are there safeguarding issues? Do we need more than one room? Yeah, so this is a whole grey area. I don't know if you guys have found this, but safeguarding online has changed massively. We're all doing different things online, so there's a lot of questions around it. What I've been trying to recommend to our guys, so I'm running an alpha just now with some teenagers. There's 15 of us, 15 young people and 2 adults in the group. And we're not going into breakout rooms on our own with those young people. We're just staying in the bigger group with everyone. It does mean there's less intimacy, but also it means that there's accountability for each other. We would always recommend that you play it as safe as you can. So if you can have 2 leaders in a group, we would always suggest that that's the best practice. Obviously, sometimes that doesn't happen, but we need to do the best we can for our people. And we've got a duty of care to the people online just as much as we do when we're face to face. So we need to be sensible. Obviously, you can record all your meetings if you want to be super safe, but a lot of people don't want to have their private lives and their feelings and things shared in any way recorded. So you kind of need to gauge that for yourself. I hope that helps, Adele. Paul Graham said, Zoom chat, do you allow guests to talk to each other or only the hosts? Yeah, man, I let them speak to anyone. Like, go wild. What's the worst that could happen, right? You know, people are going to talk about you behind your back anyway, Paul. You know, you may as well suck it up. What we have found, though, is that actually when we've allowed people into that, it's allowed conversation to happen a lot more fluidly in the groups. Because if someone knows someone else, so let me pick on somebody, Hillary, for example, if Hillary Howarth knew Brian Gibson, they could maybe be messaging each other about a really relevant thing. So when it comes to the group time and Hillary wants to talk, she's already got the confidence of having spoke it through with somebody. So I leave it on. Again, your call entirely. But yeah, I'm just a chatty person. If I turn it off, the messages ping back all the time and I get really frustrated. And how does recording work in breakout rooms? Audrey, that is a great question. I learned the hard way, it doesn't. So what happens is the host is the person who is recording. So I'm recording this call just now. Now, if I put all of you guys out into the breakout room, it just follows my recording. So if I drop into your breakout room, we'll record that breakout room. If not, you just end up with 3 minutes of me footing about, doing stuff, arguing with my children. I spilled a coffee over myself and I came back, went back into the meeting, everyone came back in and I was watching the recording back and I was just like, what has my life became? You know, it was just this like snapshot into my life for 3 minutes that nobody wanted to see. So yeah, what I do is for when I go into breakout rooms, if I am recording, I pause it and it'll say this meeting has been paused. We go out of the breakout rooms and then we come back in, we start the recording again. That's how we do it. But we actually don't record our alphas at all so that people have total anonymity. Especially what we find is that we're getting some guests along who wouldn't set foot in church. They just wouldn't turn up. But because they're coming online, they don't know anybody. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows their background. So they can come in, exist and leave. Nobody's seen their car in the car park. They've not had to tell their mates where they're going because they're stuck in the house anyway. So we are seeing lots of people just dropping by and kind of experiencing it in different ways. So it's really, really exciting. But for me personally, that's just meant that we don't record ours. But again, you need to get something that works for you guys. How about anyone else? Are we all good? Everyone questioned up? Awesome. So what I'm actually going to do is, it is 12 minutes to 4. So I'm going to put us into breakout rooms for 10 minutes, just so you can just find some space to pray for one another really quickly, and maybe pray for revival, because it's coming. We need to be ready. And also just pray for people to have great questions, because that's what we're looking for. And then we'll come back together for a couple of minutes at the end. If anybody wants to chat anything specific, I'll be staying on here. So if you do want to drop back, you can do that, and then I can throw you back into your room. Okay? But I'm just going to do this just now. Probably help if I didn't have it all set up to do manual rooms, wouldn't it? Let's see. It's always the best thing, isn't it? Like, you set everything up to show people stuff, and then you end up shooting yourself in the foot and looking like a totally incompetent person. I'll say looking like, most of you know that I am anyway, so it's fine. But right, some of you will be getting room invites now, so if you just want to find your way to wherever and get some time with prayer, and we'll do that for, like I say, about 10 minutes, and then we can all come back together. Wow, everybody coming back in, that's a good sign. It's always a good start. I think we might just be waiting for another couple. Sure. So guys, thank you so much for spending this time. If you do have any more questions and you want to get in touch, please do. Two last questions just came up just as we were going into breakout rooms there. One was a comment from Ruth, which said, will we need to register for data protection? Yes, I know, it's a great question. It really depends on how you're set up to do things. So for example, the guys at Destiny use, I believe it's called Church Suite. I'm sure Paul Graham can correct me on that. But that basically allows people to get your details. It's got a tick box for their data to be used, and then they send them out the link for alpha. Other churches have used landing pages and stuff, and then other people don't have a register or anything, because they're just doing it in a kind of open forum kind of way, so anybody could drop by at any time. So it's really up to you and what you're doing and what data you're containing. So speak to your church protection person for that. And Paul Graham's also said best length of time needed to promote the course well before you start. So traditionally I would have said 6 weeks. You know, do a really good lead-in time, you know, have like a launch night, like all that kind of stuff. Give it 10 minutes and then give it a go. At the moment seems to be what I'm trying. I think the reality is that we're all online. There are people at home just now twiddling their thumbs looking for something to do. There are people that would be interested in having some of the conversations about the biggest parts in life. HTB are looking to run their alpha every week. We're also in churches with a couple of churches in Scotland that are looking towards that, like really putting a big push into the digital advertising space, and then running multiple courses like concurrently. So at the moment, like I've got 2 courses in week 1. I've got a third. So sorry, yeah, I'm in the 4th week, 5th week of 2 courses. I've got a course that is in week 4 because I started at the week behind, and I've got one that's in week 2. So I've got courses at multiple points at the moment. So I think for some people that's what it's going to look like, rather than the traditional big, massive, we'll all run it in September kind of thing. I think both ways are perfectly fine. It just, whatever's going to work for you. I'm conscious that this is an alpha event and it is now 4 o'clock, so you are all free to go. Nobody will keep you here, but if you do want to hang about, have any chat or ask any questions or anything, I'll stay on for another few minutes, or you can just ping me an email. My email is des@alpha.org, or most of you have probably got my mobile number or social media or know where I live or whatever you need. But we really just want to help you guys as much as we can, and if there's anything we can do, just get in touch. Okay, Brian, thanks for checking in, guys. Good to see you all. And this is the moment when you find out who really is actually going to run Alpha or not.
Des, I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions.
Sure, Johnny, fire away, big one.
Thank you. So it's a bit of a complicated one. We're doing one that is going to be for half the people coming on South America who speak Spanish and a bit of English, and the other half speak English in Scotland.
Yeah.
And we've sent them all out the same code, so we're going to come into the same group originally. Should we just straight away try to split them into two groups, or should we try to do introduction together, or how do we do that? And if you're...
Yeah, it really depends what's going to work for you, mate. Like, one option would be to have a Spanish-speaking group and an English-speaking group. The other one is you could download the episodes with the Spanish subtitles.
Yeah, done that, yeah.
That would be the other option. But I think probably just for... it depends. If you're trying to integrate them into everything else you're doing, you probably want to do one big group, do one big welcome. Otherwise, just send out 2 Zoom links and just run them at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yep. And secondly, so you start off, maybe do a wee icebreaker, then watch the video, go into groups, ask the questions.
Mm.
So you actually do the questions. Is that you just done?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah. So is there an opportunity for anyone to, if they want to get prayed for or want to ask any questions, or...
Yeah, like, so I basically do the same thing at the end every week on Alpha. I just say, hey, I'm going to stay online for a while. If anybody wants to have a chat, ask any questions, hang about. And then some people do, some people don't. So,
got you. Cool. That's all. So thank you, Des, for that. Cheers.
No worries, Johnny. I'll see you later, buddy.
Definitely. Take care, pal.
How's it going, mate? You all right?
I am good, Des. Thanks. Just a question with regards showing the videos, really. Like, you gave us the 2 options there, like sharing your screen or sending out a link.
Yeah.
How would it, like, with copyright and what have you, would we be able to, like, post a video on the social media maybe and then have a discussion afterwards, or is that...
So copyright wise, you can't do that, basically.
Okay.
We don't have, it's not open source material. So there's permissions that we have for people to show. Anyway, so that's why we don't have them on YouTube and stuff. To be honest, there's a couple of people done things differently. So one of my mates was running an Alpha with one of his guys at work last year.
Okay.
And they had 45 minutes of a lunch hour together. So what he was doing was sending him the link the night before, and they were watching it online together. Like, he was watching it, his mate was watching it, and then they would come together and then talk about it the next day. Now, it's not ideal, but it is one way of doing it. Because the other thing is that people will tend to watch it and then might not engage in the conversation.
Okay.
And, it's the conversation that really drives the thinking kind of thing. So,
yeah. Okay. No, that's fine. Great. I think the link would probably work better for us, I think, because just going by what you showed us there, I knew the link ran a lot smoother than Fit.
The thing is, it means that it's running on your Wi-Fi and not mine.
Aye.
So, it just takes the pressure off everything, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. Okay.
No worries. Any other questions on that, man? Just give us a shout.
Will do. Never that. Right. Bless you, man.
Cheers, mate.
Right. Try now. How do I leave this again? Here we go. Leave me again.